Guys, this video is brought to you by our partners at Geology. Geology's won all sorts of awards for their skin, hair, and body care products, and they've been featured in Men's Health, Esquire, and Ask Men. They make simple and effective skin and hair care routines customized for you. All of their products are built around a handful of powerful, proven ingredients that have been trusted by dermatologists for decades. I'm loving their morning cream with SPF 30 to make sure I'm protected from the sun, and their deodorant helps me stay fresh in the heat. My favorite scent is the deep jasmine and clove. Right now, for a limited time, Geology is hooking you up with an insane offer. Use my code Chael70 or scan the QR code on the screen to get an exclusive 70% off their award-winning skincare trial set. On top of that, you get to save 30% on add-on products of your choice when you add it to your trial. This is one of the best offers you will see, so get it before it's gone. All you got to do is click on the link below. Alex Pereira on his upcoming fight with Jan Blachowicz. Bear with me. This is Pereira talking. Did he knock everybody out he fought? I don't think so, right? He's a guy who has knocked out everybody. That'd be different. I would say, damn. But no, he's a normal fighter. Former champion, experienced and dangerous. But many people say that about me. He was knocked out. He won't come back the same. F word. I beat Adesanya twice in kickboxing and once in MMA. A scary knockout in kickboxing. Oxygen mask and everything. He came back and beat me. Now, that's interesting to me. I find Pereira, I think he's awesome. I think when he opens up and he talks to you guys, which is extremely rare, I think it's awesome. And the reason I read you that quote, are you like me? Guys, I forgot. I just didn't realize it's been 4 months since that knockout. That was a brutal knockout. You don't see very many knockouts in MMA. You see almost none in boxing, and you don't see very many in MMA. You see something ruled a knockout. Ruled a knockout and a guy being unconscious are very, very different things. And we talk about it all the time over here, right? It's the old boxing rule. It carries over MMA. But a guy is different after he gets knocked out. Here's a great example for you just because it was in the news yesterday, but Strickland and Cannonier. Strickland and Cannonier still can't quite agree on who won that fight, and I understand that because I watched the fight and I didn't know. I actually thought that Sean won, but when Jared won, I didn't disagree. But I use that example because that wasn't the same Sean Strickland. That was a timid Sean. I have never seen him fight like that, ever. That includes when I was in the training room with him. I have never seen Sean fight like that. And you have to know Sean and to have studied him to understand what I'm speaking about. But I was watching that fight. I was on the phone with Hans, and it's Hans's opinion was my opinion is exactly what we saw. And the only reason for that is he was coming off the knockout to Pereira. It's the only reason. And as soon as Sean got that one out of the way, even if it didn't go his way, he got that out of the way, and then he went back to performing the way he's used to performing. The outcome will take care of itself. It's the performance. That's what you saw in Sean's next fight, which he just had with the Russian, of which he stopped on the feet, which is that opponent's specialty, right? It was a really great match, but it was two different guys. We talk about that over here all the time. Why haven't we talked about it with Pierre? Well, I didn't realize. I didn't realize that was 4 months ago. Somehow there's been so much going on. And I bring that to you because now Pierre has weighed in on it. And I must tell you in a very humble way, I don't think it's right if I bring my opinion and go head-to-head with Pierre's. I think I should defer to Pereira when we're talking specifically about stand-up fighting and knockouts. That's his world. And he used a great example. He put himself in the mix. He said, I did this to Izzy. I knocked him out badly, twice, and he came back and beat me. And it's one thing to say it, it's another to go out and do it. We all understand that. And I don't know enough about Pereira's kickboxing career to tell you if he's ever been in this spot before. Has he ever been in a spot where it's not 4 months? Is not long. I mean, how long did you avoid getting hit would be very relevant. After the fight with Izzy, how long in sparring until your head took a blow? And I won't pretend to know the recommended science from a doctor's standpoint on that, but I could tell you as a colloquial that's seen this a whole bunch of times, it's really important that you do get that rest period in, and more psychological than physical. The psychological side he just laid out for us. If he in fact means those things, it sounds like he's in a pretty good spot. But what somebody says is they're not only trying to convince you and the opponent, I'll tell you firsthand, we're also trying to convince ourselves. And perhaps we should make a bigger deal about this. Daniel Cormier is the one that spurred the response from Pereira. And all Daniel said is you better not, you're talking about Alex, you better not let Blachowicz hit you, not once. And Daniel said, I have seen Blachowicz almost decapitate people. And it probably is a very different perspective if you're in Daniel's shoes. Like, there's sounds that you can hear when you're as close to the cage as Daniel. There's things you can see, but you also are an expert, particularly on the weight class, because you used to be king of the weight class. Like, there's just things where the opinion that Daniel has is very helpful and relevant in this situation. So Blachowicz better not hit him. Who's going to win that fight, guys? I mean, who do you have? I have always had Pereira, but I have always had whoever Blachowicz is taking on. I go all the way back to Luke Rockhold. I had Luke Rockhold was going to beat him. I've never quite given Jan that fair shake because I haven't seen him as a complete enough fighter. And I have information to tell me that I need to reassess that. I have information also known as Blachowicz versus Adesanya, where he won the fight with wrestling. And then just how good is Blachowicz on his feet? Well, go see the first 3 rounds of the Uncle Lion fight. Like, Blachowicz is awesome, but he's 40 years old. He very quietly became 40s. Guess he might be 41. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. He did this like very quietly, and I observed these things. And then when I go watch him fight, I go, man, that guy is so good. And he didn't name himself the Polish Hammer, by the way. It's not like a nickname that he came up with. He got named the Polish Hammer. He does have that power. I mean, Daniel Cormier is making an excellent point. It was an excellent find and observation by the Big Bear here. I forgot it only been 4 months. I forgot that Alex, it wasn't just ruled and knocked out. He was out. There's special paperwork that you have to do to get cleared through commissions in that situation. Right? Like, this is serious stuff for us to just gloss over. And when I asked you a moment ago, I said, hey, who do you think's going to win this fight? I've always thought Pierre was going to win. Who do you think's going to win this fight? Guess what the odds maker at DraftKings says? Dead even. We are even money. When I went to bed last night, Blachowicz was officially the favorite, but you're talking by just not enough to even argue about. And now Pierre is officially the favorite, but just not by enough to even talk about. And this is a close one. And sometimes you have these really close matches on paper. You go back and forth. You know, we're debating back and forth. There's 10 of us, 5 go this way and 5 go that way. What's surprising about those kinds of fights, those ones that are razor thin, they generally don't go the distance. For whatever reason. Like, this is a really hard fight to predict. But I will predict for you, when this fight is done, it's not close. I just don't know who's going to go to work. And you always have, as exciting as this fight should be, you do have the weapon that Blachowicz showed us he possesses when he took on Adesanya. And Alex is a hard ground and pound. I mean, that's a hard guy to get down. It's a hard guy to keep down. I just suggest for you, this could go into a lot of different areas. And Blachowicz is probably tempted right here, right now. He's in his hotel room. He's with his coaches right now. He's probably tempted to try to get the takedown, see how well that works, defer to a stand-up fight. But when you look at the point that Cormier makes, and we look at the history of guys that have been knocked out and their next performance and their reluctance to go out there and engage, it might be best for Blachowicz to attempt to keep this thing standing. Risky game for both guys. But it's a great observation by Daniel. And it does change the way I look at this fight, at least in the stand-up.